Hello, everybody. Good afternoon or morning.
Or night.
Or you could be working out in the yard or driving in a long road trip. Wherever you are, whenever you are, we're grateful that you're listening to this podcast. My name is Brandon Miner. This is the Founders Pod. I'm here with my co-hosts, Jordan Hansen and Matt Lamb. Gentlemen.
Hey.
Hello. How are you?
Happy Monday, Tuesday, whatever day of the week it is.
Whatever day of the week it is. Happy day. To all of the people listening, thanks for joining us. We're going to do a mini pod today. Excited about the mini pod, but as usual, we're broadcasting live in the moment.
Currently live
from the United Commercial Insurance Studio. Give us a call, 208-229-8222. You can also go to our website, www.unitedcommercialinsurance.com. If your business needs insurance, big or small, we do them all. Big, medium, small. Don't want to leave out the medium-sized companies. Okay?
Yeah.
Give us a call, 208-229-8222. Mini pod edition of the Founders Pod. Excited to talk about it, but we got a segment.
Yeah. I have a comment. I just love how we say we're broadcasting live. There's no way that our listeners can listen live to us unless they come down to the studio.
That's right. You can
We
come
don't
in.
stream
We
live.
have 2 to 3 more spaces on the couch.
It's always pre-recorded when they listen to us.
That's right.
We
By
have
live, I mean we are in person.
We're in person.
That's right.
Note
a
on
segment,
that,
though.
if you come down, we can only have one person listen in on the headphones.
That's right. I mean, you could hear what we're saying
Mm-hmm.
without headphones, right?
Okay?
If you want to come listen live, drop us a comment. Have a live audience.
Okay. And kind of interested about that.
Yeah.
We got a full room, packed room
We'll
here.
get you a box of cereal, too.
We're all sweating. Now we're just making claims like, great. Wait, we had a comment.
We
yeah,
did.
we have never delivered a cereal box.
Bree.
Bree's Jamie's friend, your wife's friend. Is that right?
Yeah.
She wants her cereal.
When is she coming up?
I think in June. She'll
She
be here
said
next month.
herself that technically she eats free cereal at your house.
She
Does that
does.
count?
The debt has already been paid.
Okay.
She's negative.
There's one, we have a loyal listener in Zach Bellows. He did comment and ask for a cereal, and then he tried to buy a quote, although I saved him a ton of money on workers' comp, and he renewed with his old company because they beat my price. They came down and beat my price.
Because he used you as like a lever.
It was a price
Cereal,
comparison.
cereal wasn't enough to.
It wasn't.
Do the deal.
Like,
price
come on.
comparison. Hey, but they're throwing in cereal.
So he owes me cereal. That's why I saved
they
him
may
enough
have
money.
dropped the workers' comp
He went
premium,
down.
but they also might have thrown in more cereal.
And sorry, Zach, but his policy was like $54,000. It went down to 28, and I'm
A
like,
year?
oh,
Really?
Yeah,
That's a
and I was
lot.
like, oh, okay, you're gonna go with me, and he's like, well, yeah, let me notify him, and so he notified him, and they're like, oh, by the way, ours is 27, and he's like, what?
Why didn't you do that before?
He's like,
Dude, that's
you could do that. You could do that the whole time. You could do that this whole time. And they're like, yeah, we found some discounts there for you.
Magically.
what
Crazy.
happened with our company and UPS when we told them that FedEx was coming around.
Yeah.
They're like, oh hey, we have some incentives for you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
These were here all along.
No, we just found them.
You just found them
now.
in the back office.
Surprise.
The timing is just.
We're all
coincidence.
surprised. Yeah.
All right, I got a beef, guys.
What's the beef?
So I go to convenience stores every once in a while.
Okay.
What's a convenience store? Like a gas station?
Yeah.
What is that?
Gas station. Yeah, usually it's a gas station.
Okay, because I drive by these places and people are sticking hoses into their cars, and I'm like, would you do that?
Yeah, you stick a hose in your car, but it doesn't.
I have an electrical hose.
Yeah.
It shoots electricity
It,
into
it
your
fills
car.
up the electricity. You pour the electricity in that
That's
way.
You can
right.
see it flowing in.
Sometimes it overflows.
Don't spill it.
That's right.
Don't spill that
It'll
electricity.
shock you.
That's right.
So yeah, gas station for the older vehicle type. Anyway, when you pull into these parking spaces, which I often do, more than I would like to do, I get out of my vehicle and right outside my door on the ground is someone's beverage poured all over the ground.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Coffee,
Seen that.
soda, milkshake. I don't know what it is, but they do it
Vomit.
as they're leaving, because it can't be as they're getting out, because if they do it as they're getting out, they're going to walk right into it, is my guess.
Yeah, you're right. Because then they're gonna get a. Yeah,
Because I pull in after they dumped it out, and it's like, hey, there's a nice puddle for me to.
I
step
assumed it was because they had free refills, right? And so they're dumping their drink.
in. Maybe
and
it's
they get refills.
before. I
That
don't.
big
It
gulp.
doesn't make sense though.
Yeah,
But
because then they'd step in it.
yeah, or
So
maybe
now
our
your
cars
feet-
don't line up.
So
but-
now your feet are sticky.
well, I see it in a. I'm sure I've stepped in it before.
You try to twinkle toe around
I
it.
tried to skirt around it, but I'm just staring at it like, what are we doing?
We're
What?
raised in a pizza box. I mean,
Now, maybe it could be said, something could be said for the clientele that go to the, I'm one of these people that go to convenience stores.
Degenerates that go in to fill up on
Maybe.
soft drinks.
Maybe. But people, come on. Go into the store, dump it out there, dump it in the trash can.
there's often grass somewhere, like nearby. Walk over there.
Sometimes
Sometimes. Most of
dump
them.
it in the around the back side of your car.
There you
No
go.
one gets out
Oh,
the
you
back.
That's true. You don't
So you
even
don't-
you don't even care that it's on the concrete.
No.
Why?
That's not
people
the
are standing
it's
there.
yeah, you're going to walk right into it.
Yeah.
That's my beef. You guys ever
We're
experienced
never
this?
going to get anywhere as a society as long as we're doing that.
Yeah, last episode we talked about self-driving cars.
Last one, maybe.
A previous
A
episode.
previous
previous
episode,
episode.
we
Yeah.
talked about
Or
self-driving
a future
cars
episode.
Depending on when it comes out.
in an episode where we were all wearing what we're wearing now.
Right.
But we talk about getting to self-driving cars. We're not going to get there
Well,
if we're stepping in iced coffee.
Yeah.
What's worse? Okay, can I pose a question? What's worse? That scenario that you just described, or driving through a parking lot and having a cart, like a grocery store cart in that space?
Hate it.
What's
what?
worse?
Oh, what do you hate more? I don't really care about I would rather have the.
I think the
cart.
shopping cart is more tolerable.
Yeah, exactly.
More
It's
tolerable.
gross. It's icky to step in someone else's
Yeah.
fluid. Okay, that sounds weird.
Wait a minute. What?
I mean,
what are we
look,
doing?
It's not the
Look,
human
it
blood.
could, it
What
could be
is it?
anything.
What?
It could be anything.
Immense amount
What?
of blood.
Are you sure you're going to a gas station, or what are you? Where are you guys at? Back
I mean,
alley?
what kind of gas station? I mean, sometimes those gas stations
Yeah.
Back
deals,
alley.
deals go down.
You never know.
I did listen to a comedian that's like, the people at Costco that leave their shopping cart in the parking lot are like the laziest people in the world, because he's like, you'll walk 3.5 miles around that whole place, but you won't walk 50 feet to the nearest like.
Too far.
I mean, you're
Shopping
tired
cart
by then.
collection.
After walking around Costco a bunch, like I can't make it.
He's like, literally, you've walked like a half marathon just in that store with that cart fully loaded.
fully loaded.
And
now
it's empty,
It's the
and you won't-
lightest it's gonna be.
And you're just gonna kind of shove it down the aisle.
I gotta go. My
It's
work
almost
is done
like
here.
letting an old dog free. You pat it on the butt and you push it out in the thing. You'd be like, don't enjoy the rest of your life.
I like how you say that like that's a common thing that people just do with their old dogs. They're just like,
when they get worn out.
Send
you
them out
just
to
like,
pasture.
time to go, buddy.
see ya.
All the kids are crying, and you're like, this must
No.
be. This is the way.
He's lived a good life.
Come on, he had a good life. We bought a lot of things on that cart.
But both of those things, yes, they annoy me. Put it in the spot. Put your cart in the cart spot, please.
Yeah.
To have a functioning society, we need that. At the base.
Don't be that person.
Okay.
Be a little better.
I don't know that
Today's
I've
the
ever.
day.
I don't know that I've ever. I don't like dropping fluids
Of any sort.
of any sort onto concrete. I always go to
neither.
dirt or grass.
Yes, exactly. I don't like. I mean, if you have water, I'll throw water out.
Okay.
But otherwise, anything
Yeah.
else, you're right.
And
I
these
like
Sticky?
that.
they're dumping it out the window
Oh yeah.
because if you're dumping it, it's splashing your shoes
Your-
and
Yeah.
yeah.
pants.
I think no, probably more. Like they
Not
open the
only
door,
that.
right? Because they don't want to splash up to the car. Open the door.
Have
and-
you
Open the
seen
door, dump it.
Have you seen the grocery attendants or the convenience store attendants having to spray down the parking lot because it's like basically 60% sugar? Like I've seen them hosing down the whole part, and that takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's no good.
Gross.
Difficult life. All right, that's your beef.
Yeah.
Is that
like
legitimately the biggest beef you have?
Probably.
Probably. You've talked about that multiple times though. Like you've discussed that problem multiple times.
It's
that I've
an
talked to you.
easy fix.
Yeah, it's really
Yeah,
hard,
that's
easy
a good
not
point.
to do it. Yeah.
That's a really good point. Let's talk about another beef some people have. CEO pay. Have you guys seen any of this going around the past few years? CEO pay.
I mean, forever, right?
Yeah.
I mean, 2008.
Not
it was,
forever. Not forever.
2008, it was certainly highlighted when
Yep,
people,
that's true.
companies were getting crushed, and still the CEOs made millions.
Okay, let's talk about the situation and then see which side you guys lie on. Okay, because CEOs, chief executive officers, are outpacing worker pay by a wide
And by
margin.
outpacing, we know that CEOs make more than worker pay, but you're trying to say percentage-wise, as growth is increasing faster
Yeah,
than worker. So
1,400%
in the
That's
last,
high.
what?
since the 70s.
Oh wow, okay, yeah, that's a good.
Is that a problem? Number one. Should we try to address it? Number two, or what would you guys do? So number one, is that a problem that CEO pay is outpacing worker pay?
I guess I would ask, why is it happening?
Well, I mean, we can guess. You know,
No.
you can talk about the culture of CEO pay where the CEO dictates the success quotation of the company and makes the shareholders richer, everybody richer. If you have a good CEO, kind of like if you have a good football coach, that coach is a winner and you'll pay them anything that they ask because they win and it's worth it for your organization to win. That's kind of where it's at. And it's just the market rate now of a CEO is just at that level. If you're going to pay less, you're not going to attract anybody good. Is what my assumption is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's important probably to clarify that CEOs here are probably CEOs of public companies, right? These
Okay.
Right. This is
It's tough to know what the pay of a private company
private
CEO
company,
is.
and often those private companies, the CEO is the owner or
Mm-hmm.
founder. And that point, I think they can pay whatever they
Right,
want because
right.
they are the shareholders as well. It's coming from their pocket.
So a publicly traded company CEO pay.
Mm-hmm.
Is that okay?
I mean, like you said, the hard part is I feel like it's hard to measure. How do you measure a good CEO? I don't really know. I feel like a lot of them, I don't know what they've done at all. Some of them are huge, right? Steve Jobs, I think, was a notable CEO. Elon Musk would be a notable CEO that has proven track record of making impact above and beyond what you'd expect from a normal.
Jeff Bezos.
Jeff Bezos, yes.
Those are CEOs that started those companies, right?
Well, I mean, you think about Twitter. Whether he's successful or not, he is making more drastic, bold changes than anyone.
You could certainly compare him against the prior CEO of Twitter. and
Yeah, which
say-
says like, yeah. And I think it's yet to be determined whether he is better or not.
What
but he's
about the
certainly
Google
trying more.
CEO? The current CEO of Google.
I mean, now it's determined by the board. This is how they're getting their salaries.
Yeah.
Is the board of directors are determining, and I think market rate is kind of what it is. Now, why is market rate changing? You say, is it okay or not? It's certainly okay. They can pay what they want. And what should happen is if they're getting paid too much and shareholders don't like it, then that's how you express that to the board via your proxy shares, and the board replaces them.
I think my issue with it is, and it's similar to, and I'm probably more familiar with the coaching side of it and how that works, is that there's very little, there's no risk. Like if you're the CEO and you don't do anything,
Yeah.
you're still getting paid, right? And your name is still being thrown out there for other future CEO jobs, even though maybe you
Or
had,
board jobs.
yeah, even though
everything.
you had a crappy couple years with a company, you're still at that level and people know who you are. But I think for me, that's the issue, the biggest issue that I have,
Yeah.
is that you're still getting paid a ton even though you didn't do anything.
A lot of times the amount of stock they own is not a lot. In these public companies, they could maybe own barely anything. And so the risk alignment is not there.
Yeah.
It's
Like you bring in this brand new CEO that has a big name. He hasn't been with this company. Maybe he's been in a similar industry. It doesn't work. He or she doesn't do a very good
he
job.
still made several $1 million each year if he was there, and then probably is going to go on. Now, if he continually sucks,
And he left it they left it a dumpster fire.
Right.
And it's like,
Well, isn't
they
that
still
the
got paid.
same with NFL coaches?
Yeah.
that's what he's saying.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what I don't like about
Yeah.
it.
Now it's like almost like you have to get tenure, almost, right? You have to have something to prove to get you to that point at least once, and then you probably have some grace period of trying these things. Now, if you continually suck, eventually you're going to get a coach, he's not going to get hired anymore.
What should happen to CEOs?
Well, I think it's alignment. I think it's all your incentives should be aligned. They need to get based on, okay, what are their goals? Increase profits. Well, then their salary should be directly correlated with that. If it starts going down, they need to get paid almost way less.
What if
I don't
what if
think it's
they
going to change because you're trying to attract that top talent, and in order to do it,
You have to
minimize
guarantee.
risk?
you're going to pay that money.
Yeah.
And you can't go back to the board and say, "We got this guy for $150,000 a year." They're going to be like, "Who?
Yeah,
What?
this guy's-
no, he's really good. I promise." Like, well, why aren't we paying him 300, 500?
Right.
10 million,
That. Yeah, that's
whatever it
interesting.
is.
Because a lot of times we attach value to dollar amounts.
Mm-hmm.
Like the cheaper thing almost becomes worse, even though it's not.
Yeah.
You guys read the story about the Costco CEO for a long time?
No.
When Costco's main growth, the CEO limited his salary to $500,000 when everybody else was making like 9 or 10 million. And he's like, I just want that to be open. It's almost like Tom Brady on the football teams. Like, I'm going to
Yeah.
take less money so
'Cause
that we can get supporting cast everywhere else and
Yes.
attract better talent.
I
Now we
like that
assume,
a lot.
and I love that, right? Super ton of respect for Tom Brady. Those incentives are aligned now, right? Because the team wants to win, and now he wants to win. He's proving it because he's trying to.
Yeah.
But the Costco, you say salary, like Steve Jobs, I think took a salary of $1 because stock options, bonuses, whatever that can make.
Yeah, I don't have the details of it.
We're
And
assuming-
he could have made 30
Yeah.
million on the back end. I don't know.
Let's assume he didn't.
But if you're looking at a deal and you're like, I could make 27 million, which is the average pay of a Fortune 500 CEO,
It's crazy.
or 500,000, what are you gonna? I mean, there's no way you're not gonna take that.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just gonna take that every time.
Yeah,
You're not gonna lower your salary.
Especially when you know other CEOs, and you're going to be like, "I want to make more than that person."
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
I don't want to take less.
I think problem I have is that their pay is outpacing stock market performance. Right? So they're getting paid way more than the Fortune 500 stock performance over that same time frame.
Yeah, you're saying the growth, right?
Right.
Whereas that stock is growing maybe 10% a year.
Yeah.
They're growing like 25 to 30% to 40%.
Yeah,
a year.
I also feel like there's no recourse. Like when in 2008, when all those banks failed, there's no recourse for the shareholder to say, well, I lost money, but this person that drove me into losing money did not lose money.
yeah.
They got a golden parachute. They fell all the way to the ground, and they're way better off than I am, who lost a ton of money.
Right. Let's say my investments went down 80%. He still has even if he went down 80% with his investments as well, the dollar amount is still enormous with it.
Incredible the amount that they made. And so I don't like the repercussion portion.
So how does it fixed?
Yeah, that's a good question. Send them to jail. I don't know. I don't know how to fix it, because anything you propose would not, you would be the first one, and you can't set the market as the first. You need a group of people to come in and set the market on that. And I'm against government regulation
Right.
on it. And so I don't know, but I don't like that. I don't think that they are taking all the risks. I think workers are taking a bigger risk because a lot of times their retirement or their life wages
If
are
that company
tied
goes
to this
bankrupt,
company.
Yeah. What happened to the CEO of Toys R Us? I mean,
I don't know.
those people got laid off because Toys R Us went under.
No one thinks about them.
The
They
CEO.
just got forgotten.
Yeah, but I'm sure they're doing fine, right? The CEO of Toys R Us is probably doing fine, where
Yeah.
the workers are they laid off.
They got laid off.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, do you just pat him on the butt and say,
Who?
like an old
the
dog,
worker?
the CEO,
Oh,
like your
push
old
him in.
dog scenario?
Yeah. Just kind of pat them on the butt and let them get in their Mercedes and drive off to another parking lot where they. I don't know. I mean, there's so much corruption that way. One story that it was, the CEO of Disney, Bob Iger,
The current CEO?
he replaced. There was a
Yeah, no, I remember talking.
Bob Chapek was the guy that came in to replace Iger.
And he was raising prices. He did all the weird fast pass things. Yes.
Yeah, well, he did a bunch of stuff, including there was some social, unrest
Okay.
on what Disney started getting involved in socially, and so they brought Iger back in, right? But what I thought was interesting, and I was talking about it at one point, the granddaughter of Walt Disney was criticizing Iger and said he got a $50 million bonus one year. And she's like, it's so exorbitant. It's insane. She's like, he doesn't need it, right? And define need, whatever that is. But he's like, essentially, it's like another yacht for him. But then you look at it and you're like, okay, let's take that and spread it out over all of the employees of Disney. And now you're a couple $100,000 and they get like $1 or something, right? And so a couple dollars, and you're like, it's not going to make sense to give to everybody. So what do you do if you're Bob Iger, right? Okay, well, do you give it to all the lowest paid employees? Well, then you may be causing the market rate to go up for all of the, and so it's a difficult thing. But at the same time, I completely understand the sentiment. It's like, okay, well, define, did they deserve a $50 million bonus, right? And then you hear about companies that the CEO keeps a bonus and then they cut the bonus for everybody else. And you're just like, dude, okay, everybody needs to leave that company and choose to leave that company because they're bad leaders. Anyway.
It's hard with the market rate. I mean, the problem is you say, yeah, he got a $50 million. If he only got $10 million, would he leave? And then the company would do worse, and so it's worse for everyone?
I don't know.
I mean, that's really what capitalism should do. Now, I'm not saying where it comes wrong if there's capital cronyism, being like, you know, the board. I said the boardies, like
The boardy.
I think that's an okay term.
All
the boardies are hiring their buddies.
Okay, well, and that's exactly what it is, though.
Yeah, no,
that's 100. If in fact in college there was this website that had like a matrix where you could take every Fortune 500 company board and you could tie them to every single other board.
Well, it's like coaching trees, right?
Right.
In
Yeah.
football or whatever.
Yeah.
They know everybody.
So,
and
you
it's about
know,
who you know.
and so Disney's going to have however many people on the board, and, you know, Goldman Sachs is going to be on there, and they're going to have, and so it's just like, they're just doing the same hiring of the same group of people from Harvard or Yale or whatever. And so anyway, so it's not like they're bringing in new talent all the time for completely separate.
And that's where the system, that's where capitalism gets more broken, is when it's capital cronyism. It's a disconnect between, it's a risk alignment, right? Yeah.
But you're going to hire people you know.
Right. So, and there's some line of where it's right and what's wrong, right? And I just don't.
Yeah. I'm going to call a friend who I've talked to this about. Do you guys mind? Let's see if it works.
Phone a friend.
Phone a friend.
Does he know you're calling?
Nope.
Who is it?
Oh.
Can't hear it.
I'll edit this.
So I can say whatever I want
If you want.
about the big, it's like a big circle jerk
Gosh, come on.
The circle jerk?
of all the CEO boards. That's kind of what he's describing. I was like, so it's like a big circle jerk, right? That's it.
You said it.
Probably the wrong phrase to put that.
No, I don't want it in the thing, but no, that's the right phrase. That's exactly what it is.
Okay.
You said circle of jerks.
Yeah. I mean, whoops. Insert that of.
Yeah, you learn how to use your phone these days?
Yeah, I'm just trying to test it out.
That's awesome.
Hey, how
Yeah,
you
you just push the button and then push send. Like you push all the buttons of their phone number and then you push the green one that says like call.
You're a nice person. Hey, just to let you know, you're actually on our podcast right now.
Telling us about how a phone works.
Nice.
So we got Brett Hughes. Shout out to episode number 7?
An episode.
Shout out to an earlier episode. Brett, welcome. We're doing a mini pod podcast, and we're discussing CEO pay.
Ooh, okay.
That it's outpacing workers. So the problem that we're saying, it's outpacing workers' pay, and it's outpacing stock market performance. Would you adjust it, and how could you fix it if it's a problem?
I'm shocked it hasn't been fixed already. Because like these guys, a lot of them do a horrible job. Their earnings aren't good. Nothing's good. And they still get humongous, like golden parachutes, or they just stay on for 10, 15 years longer than they should. And I'm all for a CEO that's a founder getting paid whatever they want. But, man, it just feels like if it's just your turn in line and you just get this humongous compensation package regardless of performance, it's pretty wild, especially during like 2008 when people were literally doing the worst job ever and they had taken ridiculous risks with other people's money and they were still getting huge bailouts.
What about like the CEO of the Silicon Valley Bank?
Right. Like, I mean, like I'm no expert.
What should
but
happen? What should happen in those cases?
Chasing a small, tiny little yield, and just to take huge risks to try to make like 1% more than you should. I mean, there should be, you should be, of course, fired, not rewarded. But yeah, I mean, I think CEO pay is a huge problem.
Would you support government regulation on it?
No, I don't like government regulation on anything.
Yeah.
But I feel like the stockholders and the stakeholders, I feel like they could. It just seems logical that there would be a certain amount of pay based on performance, and if your performance is there, you get paid more. But I mean, it's just wild. Like these guys get humongous incentive packages regardless of how their performance was.
I think one of the hard parts we discussed was if you're a shareholder in this company and the CEO drives that company down, the value of your shares down humongously, you lose a lot, but the CEO doesn't.
Right.
That's an issue.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway.
I'm shocked it hasn't worked itself out, but I don't think government regulation is good for anything. I mean, I can't think of hardly anything the government's done right as far as regulations that doesn't just completely overstep it, you know?
Yeah. Well, I think it's hard to be the first company that does it, right? Because then now you're setting the market trend and you can't attract the right CEO because everybody else is offering $1 billion or whatever. Anyway.
Well, and maybe I'm like discounting what they do, but like for every like revolutionary CEO that does an amazing job, I feel like there's a huge percentage of them that are real average, just happen to have worked there a long time and it's their turn, you know. And like politically, it's like, hey, I'm up, you know, as opposed to like, I'm going to actually do something incredible with this company and make it operate, run, be more profitable.
All right. Well, thank you for your take on that. We appreciate it. We're going to practice using phones.
Perfect. Yeah.
Per your
Anytime
guidance.
you need help on that phone, just let me know.
How do we end the call?
Hit the same button.
I mean, you can hit the same button if you're going to call somebody else. Push the red button. There's also one that just like gets rid of me. So be careful on that.
Shout out to Brett's flag football team this Friday going into the championship game.
Ooh, good luck, Brett.
Hey, we're like 18-1 over the last couple of seasons.
Whoa,
That's a big deal.
The last person to beat us was this team. So this is going to be a good matchup.
So what happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object? You'll find out this Friday.
Right.
Find out this Friday.
Exactly right.
All right. Thanks, Brett.
See you later.
Yep. I mean, the issue is we think it's a problem, but there's no way to fix it.
Well, I mean, I think we all agree incentives should align closer, but how you're looking at like a limited pool of applicants. We're assuming now there's not that many that we think are ready to be a CEO of a Fortune 500 company, and they're going to take a job somewhere else if you don't.
Yeah.
Offer them.
I wish that there was a bigger punishment for CEOs like the Silicon Valley Bank guy.
But is it the CEO's fault, or is it the board member's fault?
For what?
Because if you're the CEO and you're like, why wouldn't I take all this money, right?
No, for sure.
It's the board, right? The board is
the board really isn't much of a shareholder. I mean,
but they're deciding salary.
I know that, but
all bonuses,
they're approving it.
Yes, they're approving it. Yeah.
I don't know. I just think the board, they're getting paid no matter what anyway.
Right. I mean, they should have some shares, but they don't have to. Wait, do they have to have some shares? I think they do have to have some shares.
Okay.
But
it's usually given to them.
Right. It's a small I mean, I remember when Elon Musk talked about when he was buying Twitter, he sent out like the list of like what the shareholders, and they own like 2% of Twitter. Like it was a tiny percentage.
Yeah. And so they don't really care, right?
Yeah.
They want it to do well,
right.
But
incentives, man. It's all about incentives.
Yeah. How do you disincent? I don't know. I just when it goes downhill, they should be liable to owe money back or something.
Or I mean, it's tough to ask anyone because who's going to want to do that job? Nobody. Right? Yeah. So the problem is I think they should be heavily rewarded based like a salesman, right? Commission-based sales rep, where they're going to get a lot of their money from performance.
And you know, I think that the work is done by those actual salesmen that are down in the, you know, and the customer service people. And so you wish that like that Costco CEO, that they'd be like, hey, I'm going to withhold from that. I don't want to look like I don't want to drive a $500,000 car to work when everybody has like a Honda Accord,
Yeah. I drive my Honda on those days.
Yeah.
Keep
whatever.
the $500,000 car for when I go to my
or whatever.
board meeting.
Right. But yeah, you could say pay is similar. I mean, if you are getting paid $700 to one and you're walking around the company, and they're like, yeah. And everybody's like, oh, you're like us, right? And he's like, yeah, I'm like you. Sure. You're one of us.
Hello, fellow workers.
Hi, you. Pat on the head. Pat. Anyway. Any other comments on that?
I don't think so.
CEO pay. Well, hopefully one day we'll be able to reap the rewards of CEO pay and make a change. You know what I mean?
Or just sit there and reap my $50 million.
Either way. Well, we'll be an experience. I'd like to try it.
A social will either do some social good, or we'll get a $50 million bonus.
That's why I became a CEO, to get that $50 million.
Exactly.
Your board is going to approve it soon.
I'm on my way.
I'd like to try it.
If you guys are on my board, would you please just approve it?
Absolutely.
It's not my money. Sure, why not?
Give me some shares. All right.
Thanks for listening to the Founders Podcast. Be sure to follow the host on Twitter. Search